In at number 10, didn't earn it. If you didn't already know, Gwyneth was born into Hollywood royalty, which definitely gave her a leg up in the business. Paltrow's late father, Bruce Paltrow, was a writer, director, and producer known for television shows like The White Shadow and Saint Elsewhere. He even had Gwyneth star in one of his last movies. Then there's Paltrow's mother, Blythe Danner, who is a Tony and Emmy Award winner who has appeared in countless films. But that's not all. Gwyneth's godfather is legendary director Steven Spielberg. Since she has so many connections, it's no surprise that she went into acting. But when accused of getting a helping hand, Paltrow denies this and claims that her parents did not help her whatsoever. When asked about her familial connections, Gwyneth said, quote, "He, my father, said, 'You are completely on your own,' so he never gave me anything. I never had any supplementation, he never helped me with my rent, I never had a trust fund." But I'm not convinced she didn't get a huge head start. In at number 9, full of herself. Since Gwyneth is an A-list actress, it makes sense that she has insane amounts of confidence, but some of her comments about herself have made people roll their eyes. She once stated that she had the quote butt of a 22-year-old stripper with a completely serious face. She also talks of her ability to stay fit and eat clean like it's not something that has happened in part because of her privileged life. She told Elle, quote, "It's so much easier to sit home and not exercise and criticize other people. What I love is inspiring people." She then commented, quote, "I am who I am. I can't pretend to be somebody who makes $25,000 a year." Even adding that working as an actress as a mother is, quote, much harder than having a regular job and being a parent, which is total BS. In at number 8, Goop. Gwyneth started the Goop blog as a way to connect with her fans and share tips on how to live like her. But then things got a little too wacky and Gwyneth started to promote questionable and scammy products. Some of these products are a candle that smells like a vajayjay and a jade egg that's inserted up there to balance your hormones. But not only are these products strange, some of them can actually be dangerous. And the worst part is that almost nothing that Goop promotes is backed by science, but the site makes their claims as fact. Medical professionals have even gone out of their way to disavow many of the claims that Gwyneth makes on her blog. The company was even forced to pay $145,000 to settle a false advertising lawsuit. And at number 7, out of touch. Even though Gwyneth is an A-list celebrity, which means she lives a life we can't even fathom, it seems that she is particularly out of touch. And there are endless quotes from her that people use to prove this fact. The hate against her is so bad that Star magazine gave her the title of the most hated celebrity. In response, Gwyneth said, quote, "I'm really effing good at my job. People who are interesting and good know that, and that's all that matters." Some other comments that made people cringe were when she said she would, quote, "rather die than let my kid eat a cup of soup." Someone even did a financial analysis of one of her cookbooks, and it was determined that it would cost a family roughly $300 per day to eat as Gwyneth suggests. And at number 6, Oscar curse. Many in the business did not respect Gwyneth for her acting until she won an Oscar for leading actress in the movie Shakespeare in Love. But even though she reached the peak of her celebrity after that moment, many believe she was cursed after that Oscar win. Firstly, many people in general just didn't agree with the Academy's choice. Glenn Close was even quoted saying, quote, "I remember the year Gwyneth Paltrow won over that incredible actress who was in Central Station, Fernanda Montenegro, and I thought, what? It doesn't make sense." Not only that, but the movies she starred in after the fact were all flops, and Gwyneth herself has even acknowledged that she made some really bad choices. She said that after her win she felt that she could do no wrong and she took anything that was offered to her, when those were roles she would never take today. Halfway at number 5, she disrespects her Marvel movies. One of her most notable roles was playing Pepper Potts in the MCU, but although the public has this strong affiliation, it seems that Gwyneth can hardly remember all the Marvel movies that she's been in. And a now infamous moment from Jon Favreau's cooking series The Chef Show, Favreau, who acted alongside Paltrow in Spider-Man Homecoming, brought up a moment from the film. Gwyneth then told him that she wasn't in that movie, which is odd because she was. She later addressed the mix-up on Jimmy Kimmel, where she said she was confused because she thought he was talking about the Avengers movies. She then revealed she's never even seen Spider-Man Homecoming at all. And if that's true, I guess it makes sense that Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, had to reintroduce himself to Gwyneth when she forgot who he was. And at number 4, entitled. Gwyneth usually has a pretty good relationship with the media because of her famous connections, but that all changed when she had an incident with Vanity Fair that gave her a bad name in the industry. Apparently, the entire feud between them was because the magazine published a story about Gwyneth that was not approved by her. And although it's a nice gesture for a magazine to show you their stories beforehand, it is certainly not something that celebrities are entitled to. Gwyneth was asked by the magazine's editor to collaborate on the content for their cover story, but Gwyneth decided to refuse because they had recently done an unflattering story on one of her ex-partners, Brad Pitt. When Paltrow turned down the offer, he decided to go along with publishing the piece anyways, much to Paltrow's dismay. In response to this, Gwyneth sent out an email to a slew of her A-list friends, telling them to blacklist the magazine, saying in part that the magazine quote threatened to put me on the cover. Quite a threat. And at number 3, she's a diva on set. This one isn't much of a shocker, but apparently she's a real pain on set. I can imagine things were worse after her Oscar win. She was always used to having things go her way because of her famous parents, but on set she would demand to have the best lighting in every single shot and get in everyone's face to make sure she looked better than all her co-stars. Her diva attitude also transferred over to everyday life. According to the Daily Mail, when she visits the spa, Paltrow demands that the shower stalls are cleaned out before she even steps foot in them. She also constantly demands to be paid the most on her movies, even though so few of them are box office hits. In at number 2, Weinstein connection. Gwyneth has a very controversial relationship with disgraced producer Harvey Weinstein. Her and Weinstein were pretty closely tied because they worked together on Shakespeare in Love, along with a handful of other projects. But she did make quite a statement when she decided to speak out against him when other women were coming forward with their stories. She revealed that she had also been put in uncomfortable situations by him, and that's the reason that she stopped working with him. Although many people supported her courageous decision, a lot of people felt it was BS because she had supported him for so many years beforehand when his behavior was basically an open secret. And finally at number 1, she's not a good lead. Gwyneth has starred in a lot of movies over the years, but it seems that the movies where she plays the lead roles do the worst, and the ones where she's the background character get the most traction. This has somewhat given her a reputation of not being able to lead a movie, especially since the few times that she has tried to headline a movie, the results have been pretty bad. And even though she won an Oscar, it hasn't propped up her image in the industry much because many felt that Miramax essentially bought her the Oscar to promote the movie, which if you didn't already know is something that happens quite often. In at number 10, post-Oscars flop. When Jennifer Lawrence was the highest paid actress in the world, she was the face of huge films like The Hunger Games and Silver Linings Playbook. But after she won an Oscar for her role in Silver Linings Playbook, her career has flatlined. Pretty much every movie that she's done since then has not taken off, and none of the films have gotten her much critical acclaim or commercial success. She even did a space movie called Passengers with Chris Pratt, and you'd think a movie with such huge stars would be a success, but again, it flopped and was widely disliked. After this, studios weren't willing to take the risk of having Jennifer be their leading lady anymore. And at number 9, she overshares. Jennifer shares relatable anecdotes all the time to appear relatable to her fans, but sometimes she overshares and it backfires. One of her worst scandals happened when she admitted that she disrespected the Hawaiian culture while filming The Hunger Games. Basically, Jen was filming in Hawaii, and in the movie she wears wetsuits a lot, which can get pretty itchy. So in 2016 on The Graham Norton Show, she admitted that she had scratched her butt on some sacred ceremonial rocks while filming in Hawaii. She said, quote, "There were sacred rocks, I don't know, they were ancestors, who knows? They were sacred, and you're not supposed to sit on them because you're not supposed to expose your genitalia to them. I, however, was in a wetsuit for this whole shoot. Oh my god, they were so good for butt itching." Apparently, she even moved the rocks so much that one came loose and started a landslide. The Hawaiian people thought it was a sign of a curse, but it was just Jen being disrespectful. After the backlash, she posted an apology to Facebook, but many did not buy it. And at number 8, Mother. The film Mother was supposed to be an artsy film to get Jen's career back on track, but it did the opposite. After having box office failures with huge movies, she decided to go back to her indie roots and work alongside her boyfriend at the time. The movie is a disturbing avant-garde horror film that gave her the space to be a dramatic actor, but after its release it was widely hated by audiences and critics alike. The whole plot of the movie was criticized, as well as Jennifer's performance. At the end of the day, it didn't get her career back on track, and it kinda confirmed that she was on the decline. And at number 7, public persona. After Jennifer became incredibly famous for her acting, her loud and goofy personality seemed to captivate the world, and it started to make her less believable as an actress. She was given the persona of a cool girl who would say whatever was on her mind, get drunk, and make risque jokes. And even though many loved it at first, the public started to get annoyed with it pretty fast, and pretty much anything she does now to seem quirky and relatable is criticized in the media, claiming she's just trying too hard. Even her infamous fall at the Oscars is deemed to be fake, and people think she concocted the whole thing for attention. All this isn't good if you're trying to act in serious roles, and most well-respected actors do their best to have as little media presence as possible. And at number 6, taking a break. Jennifer has not started a movie since 2018 and has taken a step back from the industry. She revealed why on the Absolutely Not podcast in October of 2020, saying, quote, "I realized that I needed to take some time." She explained, "I mean, we all felt that like everybody needed a break and the public needed a break from me. I needed a break." She revealed that she got wrapped up in the Hollywood machine when she took consecutive projects after she got her big break, adding, quote, "I realized that once you go into this machine, it just doesn't stop," adding that it feels like you need to take every opportunity presented to you until you're totally wrapped up in it. Finishing off that her career was taking on a life of its own and she needed time to go off to make some changes. But in Hollywood, out of sight is out of mind, and she's in jeopardy of being forgotten about. Halfway at number 5, Hollywood enemies. Since Jennifer is so vocal and constantly covered in the media, she's gotten into some feuds over the years. One was with Anderson Cooper, who made some shady comments about her Oscars fall. When Jen was accepting her Oscar in 2013 for Best Actress, she fell while walking up to the stage. After the shocking fall, many weren't sure if it was real or just faked for attention. One of those people was CNN host Anderson Cooper. On a podcast, Lawrence spoke of how she saw Cooper talking about it a few days later, and she was hurt by his remarks that the fall could have been fake, saying, quote, "It was so devastating because it was this horrific humiliation to me that took away. I don't know if I'll ever have the chance to make a speech like that again. It didn't feel good for me not to have a speech." Apparently, Lawrence later confronted Cooper at a Christmas party, with a source saying she was really fired up while confronting him. But apparently they're all good now, and Anderson sincerely apologized for his statements. And at number 4, insensitive comments. Jennifer is known for her unfiltered comments, but in this day and age that can get you in a lot of trouble, and she's constantly called out for her insensitive comments. The worst were her comments on Lindsay Lohan. While Jennifer Lawrence was on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert to promote a movie in 2015, Lawrence offended Lindsay Lohan and her family. It started when Lawrence was talking about how she got a stomach virus while filming, but she still kept shooting. Then she made the comment, quote, "I get like Lindsay Lohan grade exhaustion, but without any drugs or alcohol." And obviously, even though she was just joking, those kind of words will start a fight. Almost right after the show aired, Lohan's younger sister, Elena, tweeted out, quote, "I never breathe life into negativity, but I stand by my family. Disappointed in Jennifer Lawrence, not cool." Lindsay Lohan then replied to that tweet saying, quote, "Thank you, sister. Maybe who you're referring to should learn to support others like Maya Angelou." So it's clear Lindsay and Jen are not on good terms. And at number 3, crass. Along with being generally insensitive, Jennifer can also be very crass. Jen stirred up a lot of drama with reality star Lala Kent during her appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. It started when Andy was asking Jennifer what she thought of the cast of Vanderpump Rules. When the conversation went to Lala, Lawrence straight up called her the C word, the see you next Tuesday word, along with tons of other digs at her. As a response, Lala tweeted out, quote, "Did Jennifer Lawrence really just call me the C word on Watch What Happens Live and talk about my mama? You better pray I don't see you in the streets." This was just the first of a long string of now deleted tweets. The shade did not stop there though. Lala then went on the Juicy Scoop podcast and called out Jennifer further. She said that Jennifer had 2 failed films in a row and said she was the type of girl who would sleep with Harvey Weinstein for a role. Lawrence never responded to the shade, but Lala still brings it up anytime she's asked about it. And at number 2, rude to fans. I'm sure it's annoying and even somewhat scary to get approached by fans when out in public, but most celebrities recognize that fans should be appreciated, but not Jennifer. She's actually admitted to being rude to fans when they come up to her, so they'll leave her alone. Jennifer says it's her way to defend herself against fans and paparazzi who might want too much from her. In an interview with Variety, she said, quote, "I just generally, once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. That's kind of like my only way of defending myself." Even adding that if she sees a fan coming to her table, she'll start wagging her finger and making a mean face. She also bluntly responds no when people ask her for selfies. And over time, fans aren't happy about this harsh attitude and will probably turn on her. And finally, number 1, unprofessional. Even though it looks easy, being an actress is a lot of work. Specifically learning lines and figuring out what you want to do with the lines before you even show up to film. But even though Jen is an Academy Award winner, she does not memorize her lines before showing up to set. Jen was speaking about this in an interview, saying, quote, "My friend was over and she was like, 'What scene are you doing tomorrow?' And I was like, I don't know, is that bad? Is there a point in my career where I should start learning my lines for work?" And she was like, "Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it." When asked another time about the fact that she doesn't memorize lines, she said, quote, "I look over the script, but I don't sit there memorizing. I read it, I know where I'm going, I know what it's about." Even adding, quote, "I do as little work as possible." Definitely. Clearly this strategy has worked for her, but I can't imagine the other actors and the director don't appreciate that she's not following the script like they are.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Eddie Murphy. Yes, the hilarious comedic actor has found himself in some situations that aren't so funny. If you don't know about the story that broke the news, it was Eddie Murphy being arrested in a prostitution scandal. The arrest happened back in 1997, and don't think for a second that Hollywood has forgotten about it. On May 2nd of 1997, the police pulled over Murphy's car at 4:45 after they observed that a well-known transsexual prostitute got inside. Murphy claims that he saw a person was having some trouble and pulled over to ask if they were alright. That's when the prostitute asked him for a ride and he agreed. Murphy went on the record and said, "I did nothing wrong. I was trying to be a good Samaritan and this is what happens." The prostitute was arrested but no charges were placed on the actor. Good news is some people believed his side of the story and he still went on to book some good acting roles. However, the story resurfaced in 2015 because only 1 year after Murphy had picked her up, she was dead in a very mysterious circumstance. The case was opened up again all these years later, which brought up Murphy's little run-in with her. The Lip TV posted a video about journalist Mark Ebner talking about Eddie and all his past with different prostitutions. He also shares that he met with one of the prostitutes who's been with Eddie and claims that Eddie's lawyer, Marty Singer, paid her $50,000 to change her story in the tabloids. She even had the check and records to prove it. So Eddie's reputation in Hollywood is no longer a very good one. He has booked some acting work, but nothing that puts him in the Hollywood spotlight like he used to be. At number 9 we have Paris Hilton, if you can even call her an actor. She was the big talk of the town and held a household name for her stupid saying, "That's hot." She had the title of best-selling author at one point in time and was a highly paid actress, model, DJ, and brand ambassador. But we don't quite hear about her anymore, do we? Here's a few reasons why she does not book any more of her acting roles. Well, number 1, she kinda sucked as an actor, if you're just going off of my opinion, but a big reason which caused a lot of controversy for the actress was her 2004 sex tape that went viral called One Night in Paris. Paris claims the sex tape was actually put out by her ex-boyfriend and was never meant to be seen by anyone. She says that it has completely ruined her life and is something she will have to explain to her kids one day. She also said that it gave her the title of a slut, which is why she only really booked roles like the slutty girlfriend in House of Wax who gives roadhead in one of her scenes and then dies half naked in the other. Another reason her career has been affected is because of her political views and being closely tied to President Donald Trump. She has known Trump since childhood, and Trump even took it as far as speaking about her sex tape, saying that him and his wife Melania watched it together. There's a disturbing image none of us need in our minds. And to top it all off, in 2012, a recording of Paris talking in a taxi cab was leaked and it exposed her saying homophobic comments. On the recording you can hear Paris say, "Most gay men probably have AIDS. Gay guys are the horniest people in the world. They're disgusting. I would be so scared if I was a gay guy. You'd like die of AIDS." When the scandal went public, you can imagine what it did to her career and also her reputation as a decent human being. Sliding into spot number 8 is Isaiah Washington, the actor who is known for his role on the famous TV show Grey's Anatomy. He found himself on Hollywood's blacklist after he made some homophobic comments at the 2007 Golden Globe Awards. This is what had his career come crashing down because he was already on thin ice for insulting his co-star T.R. Knight with homophobic language just a year earlier. After the incident at the Golden Globes, he was put in executive counseling, but not too long into it did Grey's Anatomy decide that he was going to be fired and his contract would not be renewed. After being fired, the actor was asked about it and he said, and I quote, "After the incident at the Golden Globes, everything just fell apart. I lost everything. I couldn't afford to have an agent, I couldn't afford to have a publicist, I couldn't afford to continue." The former television star has found a way to continue on by starring in B-list movies and any projects that he can still get his hands on. In at number 7 we have Katie Holmes, the actress who is also known as Tom Cruise's ex-wife. The actress was once in the prime of her career, booking roles in a variety of different movies. It wasn't until she began dating and then later married actor Tom Cruise that her career started to take some hits. Over the years, Cruise has faced tons of heat when it comes to his religious beliefs and his close link to Scientology. It's no coincidence that his ex-wife Nicole Kidman turned her back on him for his controversial religious beliefs as well. One of Katie's co-stars from Dawson's Creek, who remained close with Katie after all those years, says that her career had been blacklisted. They went on to tell an interviewer that her career began to take a downward spiral because Hollywood wants nothing to do with Scientology, which is believed to have skewed results of Oscar voting on more than one occasion. Some people have pointed out that no actor linked to Scientology ever wins an Oscar, like Tom Cruise himself and even John Travolta for his big role in Pulp Fiction. Not to mention Nicole Kidman was nominated but never won an Oscar while married to Cruise, but after they divorced, she took an Oscar her not too long after. Coincidence? I think not. Now that Katie is divorced from Cruz, she has returned to the Roman Catholic Church she used to go to, so maybe she has time to turn it all around if she wants to. Coming into spot number 6 is Thora Birch, an actress who many of us still watch in her movie Hocus Pocus every Halloween. She began acting as a child and turned into a star in the late 1990s and early 2000s. That's when her career really took off. She received amazing reviews for her performance in the Academy Award nominated film American Beauty, and she also received a Golden Globe nomination for her role in Ghost World. The star has found herself blacklisted from Hollywood because of her difficult behavior. During an interview, when asked about her career, she said, "I pissed off a lot of people over a long period of time and they found a way to upset me, hoping that upset would bring a change in my behavior, like a distancing, but I'm done." It didn't help that a story broke the news that her father, who was her manager for many years, physically threatened one of her co-stars. That's when she was fired from Dracula, the off-Broadway revival. She recently returned to acting a little bit here and there, but it is clear she will never go on to be the star many people thought she could be. Halfway through the list at number 5 we have Elijah Wood, obviously known for his role as Frodo in the Lord of the Rings movie series. But what happened to him after that? He continued his acting career but got on the wrong side of Hollywood executives when he told the media that the film industry was full of sexual predators that targeted young child actors. Coming from one of the most accomplished child actors of his time, the accusation was damaging on his career. He went on to say that he never experienced that kind of abuse himself, but said, and I quote, "If you're innocent, you have very little knowledge of the world and you want to succeed. People with parasitic interests will see you as their prey." I mean, he's not wrong. After the comments were made, his resume began to dwindle. He began booking voiceover work instead in family-friendly movies like Happy Feet, but began to move away from acting altogether. He started to progress a career as a DJ and even started his own label called Simeon Records. Swiping our number 4 spot is actress Tara Reid. Most of us girls will know her from her role in the movie Josie and the Pussycats, and most guys will know her from the American Pie movies. The actress was once very successful, finding her way to play the hottie in most of her movies. She did go on to land a role in the TV series Scrubs, which allowed her to show her talent outside of the comedic movies we always see her in. However, it wasn't long after she left the show in 2005 did she find herself caught up in hard partying, negative publicity, and awful plastic surgeries, which is a shame because she was naturally a very pretty girl. All these things have been enough for studios to have been turned off from casting her, and she now finds herself booking a lot of smaller roles in short films and other projects. Here we are at number 3 with Kirstie Alley. Towards the end of the 1980s, she was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. She received a ton of recognition and praise for her role as Rebecca Howe in the TV series Cheers, even winning a Primetime Emmy for her performance. She also won over the hearts of millions of American males with her stunning good looks. However, she struggled to remain relevant after Cheers came to an end, and some personal troubles led her to gain a significant amount of weight, to a point where she was barely recognized. It also didn't help that she was also closely linked to Scientology, which she sacrificed a lot of personal relationships for. As a result of joining the religion, reports say that many of Hollywood's executives avoided doing any business with her because they feared they would also be labeled in connection to Scientology. For years her career took a hit, and to most of us she kind of just fell off the face of the earth. A few years ago she began a Weight Watchers program and lost some weight, and even landed a smaller role in the TV show The Scream Queens. But that was in 2016, and she has nothing on her IMDb resume ever since then. Alright guys, taking the number 2 spot on our list is Brendan Fraser, known for his role in Bedazzled and The Mummy. He was once a very popular actor that many fans adored, but during the 2000s his career started to fade out, and a lot of people were wondering why. Just last year, Brendan opened up to GQ for an exclusive interview talking about what happened over all of his absent years. He opened up about his depression after his mother's death, which led to an unhealthy lifestyle and weight gain. It wasn't until this interview that he opened up about a sexual assault incident he faced with the former HFPA president Philip Burke back in 2003. He said he held it in for all these years but felt inspired by the current Me Too movement that is going on right now. Brendan said that the HFPA has never invited him back to the Golden Globes ever since the incident surfaced, and he also says no major productions are willing to hire him either. Taking our number 1 spot is Megan Fox. Director Michael Bay's first Transformer movie is what turned Megan Fox into an instant star. From then on, men's magazine couldn't get enough of her and directors rushed to cast her in any upcoming action films and other projects. Let's face it, she was one of Hollywood's biggest hotties. When her feud with Michael Bay went viral and caused the majority of Hollywood to strike against her. The feud between the two of them was heavily documented and the world was thrilled to watch it all go down. It was by 2009 when the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen came out, and that is when the tension really surfaced. It got so bad that Megan called the director a Nazi and told Wonderland magazine that, I quote, "People are well aware that this is not a movie about acting. He wants to be like Hitler on his sets, and he is." She was part of the rehearsal process for the next movie, Transformers Dark of the Moon, but was fired from the movie after the Hitler comment. Bay admitted in an interview that Steven Spielberg said fire her right now after he heard the horrific comment. She went on to act in movies such as Jennifer's Body, which was a box office bomb and earned a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. After that, she was casted in Passion Pit, which earned just 3%. I honestly think that's the lowest rating I've actually ever seen on there. Apparently she's in a movie called Zeroville that's expected to come out this year, but it was directed and created by James Franco, who's also been blacklisted in Hollywood. At least they can all work together and create their own movies, I guess. Starting off our list at number 10 is Kathy Griffin. The successful actress got herself into a lot of trouble when she posted an inappropriate picture back in 2017. She decided to team up with Tyler Shields to do a very controversial photo shoot of her holding a decapitated bloody head of Donald Trump. Of course it was just a mask, but the image was so real and graphic that sites had to blur it and block it from their sites. When she first posted it to Twitter and saw people's horrified reactions, she began to tweet out that she went too far and she will be removing the picture. But a site came forward saying that Griffin and Shields were joking on set of the photo shoot, saying after the photos were released they would need to move to Mexico because they would be put in prison. She took down the picture and apologized for offending people, but months later she took her apology back and told the Rolling Stone, and I quote, "I'm not sorry, I take the apology back 1000%. The actress has received death threats and hate mail and was put on a no-fly list after undergoing 2 months of federal investigation. Her last TV booking was in 2016 before the controversy, and the only thing she has coming out in 2019 is a TV movie called A President Show Documentary, The Fall of Donald Trump. She just doesn't know when to call it quits." At number 9 we have Roseanne Barr. The actress, writer, and producer lost her career after racist tweets were sent out by her speaking about Barack Obama's advisor, Valerie Jarrett. The tweet was a racist statement comparing Valerie to an ape. After the tweets were sent out and the controversy quickly started in 2018, ABC cancelled its successful reboot of her show called Roseanne. ABC went on to reboot the series without her. Barr has now painted herself as the victim, saying that she was fired because of her support for Israel and that the network was looking for an excuse to fire her. Not too long after, she started making another excuse and blamed her co-star Sarah Gilbert for being the reason her sitcom was cancelled. The actress has not found work since, and the only publicity she's getting is interviews about the racist tweet and her crumbling career. Swiping the number 8 spot is Jamie Lynn Spears. Yes, Britney Spears has a little sister and she was once a Nickelodeon star with her own show called Zoe 101. She played the title character Zoe, who had a super fun and innocent life at a posh boarding school, unsupervised without her parents. Young fans adored her and her carefree innocent lifestyle, but apparently the actress wasn't so innocent while off camera. She caused a major controversy when she got pregnant at the young age of 16. Not long after the announcement, Nickelodeon cancelled the show, which also meant her other co-stars lost the show with her. The once actress became a mom, got married, and then gave up her acting dream and turned into a country artist instead. She's now pursuing a career as a country artist and said she has no interest in returning to acting. She might not get very far anyway, since the only thing on her acting resume was Zoe 101. In the number 7 spot is Matthew Underwood. He was one of the co-stars on Zoe 101, where he played the troublemaker boy Logan Reese on the series. He continued with his acting career after the show ended, but in 2012 he got into some trouble. The actor was arrested after police searched his home and found marijuana and other drug paraphernalia. During the home search, he was also reported to be found in the home's master bedroom with a 17-year-old girl. This was a problem because he was 22 at the time and she was legally underage. He was let go and put on probation, but a few months later was arrested again outside a hookah lounge for violating his probation. The actor has remained out of the headlines since that final arrest and also has remained out of the Hollywood acting industry. Coming in at number 6, we have Dane Cook. The comedian's career took off with his stand-up comedy talent, but also headed into the direction of acting. He made his first on-screen appearance in the movie Employee of the Month, where he starred next to Jessica Simpson. Unfortunately, his first major role was a flop and the movie received 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. He tried to make a comeback when he took on a major role in Good Luck Chuck. The movie was given horrible reviews and received just a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. He continued to try and book acting roles, but fans were not thrilled about it and often said he should just stick to a stand-up comedy. He is a funny guy, don't get me wrong, but there's more to acting than just being funny. Not only were his movies a flop, but his comedy took a hit after he made an inappropriate joke back in 2012 about a mass shooting. He made a joke referencing the shooting that happened in Colorado during the screening of The Dark Knight Rises. The actor apologized later for his jokes, but some people weren't so forgiving. Lately, he's also caught up in another controversy by people judging him for dating a girl who is only 19 years old. They began dating when she was just 18 years old and he was 45 at the time, and the two have continued dating for over a year now. People have had no problem voicing their opinion on the 26-year age gap. Dane is making a comeback though in comedy by doing a comedy tour this year. He admits that he will be sticking to comedy and that acting is in his past. I think it is best that that stays in the past. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Jeanette McCurdy, a young actress known for her supporting role on the show iCarly. When the successful series wrapped, she got a starring role on Nickelodeon's Sam and Cat. Things for her career seemed to be going great. This was until 2014 when nearly nude pictures of her leaked online. Tensions ran high between the actress and Nickelodeon, and she even skipped the network's 2014 Kids' Choice Awards. She took it to Twitter to blame Nickelodeon, claiming that the network had treated her badly. The leaked photos turned into a huge scandal that involved Detroit Pistons basketball player Andre Drummond. Apparently, the two of them had a short-term fling, and when it ended, she humiliated him on a podcast interview. Only a few days later, her pictures were all over the internet, and she claims that it was him. She took it to Twitter and said, "To anyone disappointed, I sent those pics to one person. You can connect the dots. Shocked someone would stoop so low." The actress left Nickelodeon and tried to continue with her career, where she was able to book some smaller roles. Since 2016, she has only booked a few short films. She does do YouTube videos for her fans and continues to try and be a social media personality instead. At number 4, we have Ryan Rotman, who began his career playing Joey Colvin in the series Gigantic. His work led him to dating Victoria Justice, who was the star of Victorious. The two were a power couple for young fans, but after the relationship fizzled out, Rotman got into some trouble with the law. In 2011, police officers spotted his car was jumping a curb, so they pulled him over. The cops smelled alcohol and he brutally failed a sobriety test. The actor blew .19 on the test, which is more than double the legal limit. His show was cancelled and he was charged with a DUI. Once he faced the court and things settled down, he continued to pursue his acting career. He's been able to book short films and small TV roles, but nothing has brought him back to the big screen. One can only imagine where his career would be now if he didn't get that DUI. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Rupert Grint, our beloved Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter movies. The actor got his big break in the industry when he was just 11 years old. The gig, which ran the course over a decade, secured his place in the film world. He earned the title of one of history's most famous child actors along with his other co-stars. After the 8th and final movie, fans expected Grint's career to take off given his successful position. Instead, he didn't really do much at all. One of the main reasons being that in between the Harry Potter movies, the actor kind of took it easy. Unlike his co-stars Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson, who were booking other movies in between. Throughout the entire series, he only booked 3 indie projects, missing out on a huge opportunity to showcase his acting skills. Not to mention his indie products all received horrible reviews. Turns out the actor wanted to quit acting. In 2017, he told Entertainment Weekly, and I quote, "When I started, acting was never something that I aspired to do. I fell in love with it while I was doing it, but I definitely did think, is this really what I wanted to do?" He went on to say that he felt like he missed out on a lot of life and wanted to just be free and live a little bit. When he did ease back into acting, no one really noticed. He's been able to book some smaller roles, but no movies that have brought him back to the big screen. At number 2 we have Jack Gleeson. The young actor played Joffrey Baratheon in HBO's Game of Thrones. He played the character from 2011 to 2014, but after the boy was killed off the show, Gleeson decided he wanted to step away away from acting. He was in the prime of his career but went on to tell interviewers that he didn't want to be in the spotlight and wanted to go back to school. During an interview he said, I quote, "I hate celebrity culture." He returned back home and is now a part of his Dublin-based theatre company called Collapsing Horse. So even if Hollywood wanted a part of him, he wants no part of Hollywood. Taking our number 1 spot is Paul Reubens, aka Pee Wee Herman. The actor was huge for this character during the 80s as he took on 2 feature films and also a Emmy-winning children's TV series. But his image and also his career changed drastically in 1991. During a visit with his parents in Florida, he was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult movie theater because he was spotted masturbating during the movie. He was 38 years old at the time and pleaded no contest and agreed to take part in a new anti-drug campaign to avoid a trial on the misdemeanor charge. After the scandal, Pee-wee toys were pulled from shelves across the nation and Reubens hid from the public eye, pretty much disappearing for the remainder of the 90s. He attempted a comeback, but more charges of sexual nature were brought against him, this time relating to child pornography. Officers seized thousands of items from a collection of vintage gay erotica and also faced claims of owning sexual images of children. It took yet another decade for him to come back to Hollywood, which he did in 2016's Netflix film Pee-wee's Big Holiday. He did receive some positive responses from fans, but also received a lot of negative as they didn't agree with the decision to bring him back. There's really no way he will ever make his mark in the industry again.